I'm struggling here with the... I'm also struggling with opening up my... okay. Honorable members, Minister of Public Works and Infrastructure, Minister Dilil, Deputy Minister Kivit, DG and your team, our support team from Parliament, Parliamentary Legal Services, Department Legal Services, and all those that are in the meeting, greetings to you all. We are having this meeting today, a meeting that we're supposed to hold it in the last quarter, but due to the tight program, we had to postpone on the last day and said that we will hold this
recording
meeting
in progress.
We are holding this meeting in the month that in South Africa is declared as the Women's Month, relating to the March of Women, August 9 in 1956. We are standing here. We are members of parliament from all the political parties as women, because those women of 1956 showed the world that the role and the place of the woman is not only in the kitchen, as it was previously known, but we know that as much as they open the road for us, basivulela indlela, all is not all. Women still to be economically active. When you look at the statistics and who are playing the role in the economy, you will find that it's male dominated. When you talk about ownership of the land, you will still find that it's male dominated. When you go and check who is holding high positions in many departments, you will find out that there are few women there. So that's why I'm saying that it's not yet uhuru for women, as much as that women have the right to vote, have the right to be in parliament, to represent people, but it's not yet uhuru. Women are being killed, women are being raped, women are being abused, day in, day out. I think maybe we need that March of 1956 as women across political parties, across racial lines, to say enough is enough. We also hold this meeting after a series of activities that shocked this country. Young children who died in Enyobeni Tavern in East London, the youngest being a 13-year-old, people that are killed in taverns, the rape that happened in Kagiso by Zamazamas, all these killings that are happening in our country. We send our condolences as this portfolio committee to all the families that lost their loved ones through all these acts of crimes. We also send a message to the Minister of Police to ensure that all those that committed these serious crimes are arrested and are behind bars. and they must rot there. It's really frustrating that as a woman, you cannot walk freely. You cannot be free in your own house because your partner may kill you. You cannot pray freely, whether you are in a mosque, whether you are in a church, but wherever you worship, because the pastor or some of those people that you are attending church with may kill you, may rape you. You are not free as a woman, even when you are at work, because your colleagues may rape you or may kill you. During this Women's Month, as this portfolio committee, we say enough is enough. Something must be done in our country. We cannot live the way that we are living. We are so afraid as women of this country. With those few words, honorable members, I am welcoming you in this portfolio committee during this Women's Month. Today, the Parliamentary Legal Services will be briefing us on what they have come up with as on the A list. After us having debated clause by clause on the expropriation bill, debated again in the portfolio committee, making some changes, agreeing, disagreeing in some of those changes, but today we are expecting them to present to us what they have come up with. And I hope that at least now we can see the end is nearer for us to take this to the parliament, where it will be deliberated by all the political parties, even those that are not part of our portfolio committees. So I think, let me again appreciate the role that you have played, honorable members, in ensuring that we have moved this far with this expropriation bill. Again, you are all welcome, even those that are watching our portfolio committee, whether it's on parliamentary TV, whether they are part of us, whether it's on parliamentary YouTube, you are all welcome. Can we get any apologies? Ms. Mendy?
Thank you, Chairperson. We did not receive any apologies.
Other than Ms. Martinez, our committee secretary, who is ad hoc committee in KZN, the ad hoc committee that is dealing with the challenges that were faced by KZN during the floods. So Ms. Martinez has been allocated to work with that ad hoc committee. So she is there today. I will hand over to you, Ms. Pume.
Thank you so much, Chairperson, and greetings to you and all the members. I'm trusting that I won't have any connection issues, Chairperson. In my area, we are likely to get load shedding, but I hope will be sorted. Chairperson, I have three copies that I would appreciate your guidance, whether to use the copy of the bill that we last presented, and we had in it inserted the changes that the committee had said must come out, or use the copy that is clean. But what I did on Friday was to send to Ms. Martinez the copies that are both having our comments to explain what had happened in terms of the last meeting of the committee and what it is that we have corrected, as well as a clean copy that the committee, once they've deliberated and they're satisfied, is the one that will be then approved and adopted to take the process forward. So if maybe the chairperson can clarify me which of the copies must I flight, the one that has the comments comparing what the committee had said and what is to be corrected thereof, Chairperson, if you may clarify me there. Thank you, Chair.
Pume, I think you remember We discussed a number of issues in the last meeting that we held. And then you said that you were going to clean all that, and then you will bring to us what we have agreed upon. We all know that the members, if there are any issues when you present, even today's, they still have a right to write down that they don't agree on this. But last time, as we all know, that we had to, in some of the areas, we had to put it to a vote, but they still have a right to raise those issues. But we'll allow you to present what we have consolidated as part of our discussions.
Thank you so much, Chairperson. I have put up a copy, Chairperson, which together myself and the state law advisor we worked on. I think it will be the most simplest as I take you through the issues that were raised and the correction thereof after the deliberations and the direction by the members. It basically is a copy that makes a comparison of what is to come out and what is then after the deliberations was agreed and directed by the members that is what we should be doing, Chairperson. So it's basically the same copy that I sent to the members. It's just that this one shows everything that was there when we presented the last time and what is supposed to be coming out. So, Chairperson, I'll take you from clause 1 of the A list. And in respect of clause 1, the members would recall that it was asked of us that we remove anything that is related to counter offer, including the new provision that we did put in. And that's exactly what appears in respect of the definition for the claimant. For the first definition, we are taking out the reference to counter offer as the clause to counter offer is also coming out in light of everything that was explained and the 3 stages that needs to happen prior to the decision of expropriation and the notifications. So in respect of clause 1, that is the first change, Chairperson, that is done on the A list. And so what will appear on the A list that members have, which is the correct one, will be the definition of claimant reading. Claimant means a person who has lodged a claim for compensation. And then furthermore, Chairperson, in respect of number 2, it was only the reference into numbering. If members can see
Recording
here,
stopped.
Between section 5 and 22, because what we have done there is to correct the numbers once and make a correct reference once the 3 clauses that are supposed to be coming out are coming out, and therefore the numbers are changing thereof. And this is why the A list is looking into the numbers as well.
Chair.
Furthermore,
Chair. Chairperson.
Yes.
The recording has stopped. Can it be sorted out, please?
Ms. Menji, please ensure that the recording continues. We can't have a meeting that is not recorded.
Thank you, Chair.
Madam Mendy, can I continue? Are you sorted?
I don't think so.
Recording in progress.
Yes,
Yeah,
thank you.
yeah.
Sorry.
Okay, should I start afresh?
No, I just continue.
Okay, then the next one, Chairperson, as you can see, is the definition for a disputing party. And in light of the additions and the directives that the members gave us, we had to sort out the issue relating to who will be the disputing parties once the process has been started. And the new definition thereof, Chairperson, is going to read, it means an owner, a mortgagee, a holder of a right, including an owner and holder of a right contemplated in section 20, expropriated owner or expropriated holder who rejects the expropriating authority offer of compensation. This is in light of all the corrections that have been done after the deliberations of the members, Chairperson, as well as the definition of owner, because members would remember that the definition of owner had to be also rephrased, including whatever we had not included in the introduced bill in light of the public submissions as well as the members' deliberations. Moving forward, Chairperson, the other ones that have nothing like expropriating authority and expropriation, they remain as we had explained to them in the last meeting in June, Chairperson, because today we are only speaking to the issues that had to be corrected, Chairperson. And for the sake of time, I will not then be reading on the new ones unless perhaps the Chairperson so advised that we should. Again, that, Chairperson, it would have been the correction of the line in terms of that new insertion, which was related to owner, as I explained. And these are just consequential changes and grammatical changes we are bringing in to correct in terms of the definition and the lines of the meaning of owner. And then, Chairperson, in light of service and the definitions that were given, we have also rephrased that and made reference to the Electronic Communications Act as the members had so advised. And because of the rejected clauses, that is why as well, what would have been section 24 is now changing into being section 22. The last one, Chairperson, in this page is related to the regulations. Initially, the regulations were making reference to the specific section that was making regulations or enabling the power for the minister to make regulations. Herein is just a grammatical correction, and also to ensure that should there be any changes or any other provision that speaks to regulations, we do not only make reference to a specific section, but any provision that will be enabling the making of regulations. Hence, the definition is going to be, this act includes any regulations made under this act. So this act will be speaking to both the act provisions when the act is passed, as well as the regulations that will be promulgated by the minister in later stages. And then, Chairperson, we also made changes to the valuer definition, but that was also explained in our previous meeting. And then in respect of clause 2, Chairperson, what is being done here will be the correction to omit subsection 2, as the members had pointed out, and we have it there so that it's clear what it was saying. And when the A list is approved, the clean one, as members would see, it would not have all this, what is deleted and appearing in blue, but it will end at a full stop where it says on page 6 from line 19 to omit subsection 2. And because as we omit subsection 2, then when the members see the new version of the bill, which will be the B bill version, these sections which were ordinarily 3 and 4 would have been corrected in light of the omission, and therefore the numbering will also be looking clean and accordingly. Again, Chairperson, on number 3, it was just the reference which removes 22, and in the B version, it will have to be the new clause that is now looking into referencing what is dealt with under the new clause 20. The same with the change in number 4, Chairperson. Number 4 would have to read, an expropriating authority may expropriate property in terms of a power confirmed on it by law of general application and in accordance with sections 5 to 25 as well as 29. Again, this is happening because there are those provisions that are coming out which will no longer be part of the bill after the bill is the bill that is changed by the members. These were the provisions that were appearing in the introduced bill and before all the deliberations, Chairperson. And under clause 3, Chairperson, it is merely to make sure that we use phrases that are clear and bring certainty. Hence, subsection 2 will be reading of clause 3 will be reading, the minister may expropriate property on behalf of an organ of state which has been established by or under any law but is not an expropriating authority, and then all the listed factors would appear there. And then furthermore, Chairperson, what appears in number 2 is also a correct referencing in light of us having checked properly the line and the numbering on the bill that was introduced before this committee by the minister. Here, Chairperson, this is the provision that found its way without necessarily having to be there, because there was absolutely nothing that we are changing there. That is why it's appearing in this instance as being deleted, and therefore in the approved A list, it won't be there. As I said, this is a comparison document to ensure that members are clear on what we were instructed to take it out, and we have taken it out as per the previous presentation done in June. Again, Chairperson, here it was the correction. We had mentioned that it's referenced to a subsection when it should have been referenced to section 4 of clause 4. Here, Chairperson, we are making it clear that the specific provisions in the bill, once it's an act, even if the minister is been given the power to delegate or assign those powers, these specific provisions that are mentioned here are the provisions that should not and cannot be delegated. And that's what is appearing there, Chairperson. Under clause 5, and the other copy that I sent with my comments, which Ms. Martinez had also forwarded, it does clarify for the members what those specific sections are relating to, even in the new numbering stages, Chairperson. In respect of this provision, Chairperson, it is in respect of, in page 7, which is the clause in page 7 from line 37, Chairperson, it's clause number 5. Members would recall that also there were changes we had to make here, bringing in what appears in clause 7, and making sure that there is that sync in reading the provisions, even once the one that will be rejected and removed is out. So what we are correcting here is in relation to subsection 3, which is the stage of investigation and gathering information prior to the expropriation process. So what sub 3 must then read like is that no person contemplated in subsection 2, those are the people who can gather the information and get access, may enter the property without written authorization from the expropriating authority and the written consent of the owner or occupier of the property. Now we are adding this, which was not part of the earlier provision, and the members had directed that we must add. It will be including the written consent of the owner or occupier of a property contemplated in subsection 2 from A up to 5. To perform an act contemplated in subsection 2. This was related to the question of seeking the consent, as well as to ensure the right of people to have their privacy and dignity protected when these processes takes place. So that is the correction we have added, Chairperson. And moving forward, Chairperson, to the other change. Clause 5 is basically listing out who are those people that will be receiving the notice in terms of the stages that were explained, that there will be prior notices that takes place before the expropriating authority actually takes the decision to expropriate, especially in respect of gathering the information. And in respect of clause 6, Chairperson, and these are the ones that have not changed because all the changes begin from clause 7 when from the clause after the determination of compensation clause. All these ones would stay the same. And on number 3, Chairperson, number 3 is also going to be making a correct reference into the right provision, as I said. And here, Chairperson, the M in respect of the new clause 6, the corrected clause 6, and the provisions that are there, the new M would have corrected the numbering in respect of sections 14, 16, 21, 25, because those are coming out, and because they are coming out, the new referencing is also, and 23, the original 23 is the one which was speaking to the repurposing of the expropriation decision. So because that one members had also said it comes out, now there will be that new 23. And the arrangement of sections will also be corrected to explain these new sections, Chairperson. Again, here members would see we are taking out the Roman figure 3, which was making reference to that section 14 about the counter offers, because that whole provision is rejected by the members and therefore it will be coming out. And then the one about page 10, Chairperson, it is clause in relation to clause 7. And here, members would recall that some of the provisions, not so much, they've been taken into clause 5 because clause 7 initially was the one about notices, and we were asked to make sure that the process about notices must all take place prior to the expropriation decision. That is why then this provision will be finding its way under clause 5 and coming out of this clause 7. Under clause 8, Chairperson, it was just a grammatical correction that the members would find there. In fact, in almost generally all the provisions there up until I think the whole of clause 8 is just the correction to make sure the grammar reads correct and the reference of the numbers. In terms of the same, until we finish off under clause 9, it's a referencing, Chairperson. Under clause 9, and clause 9, Chairperson, is a provision that will be dealing with vesting and possession of the expropriated property. There were some few things that we were asked to ensure they are clear and express properly into that provision about when vesting. And that is basically what we've done, and it was discussed before the members were on the last meeting. Again, clause 10, Chairperson, is making the corrections that we have already spoken to, what will come out of clause 7 and be incorporated into clause 5, and therefore the change into reference in numbering of 7 to HI and into 7 to J, because of what will be removed from clause 7 into clause 5. Clause 11 is also doing only a cross-referencing correction. Clause 12, Chairperson, is the one that related to the determination of compensation. Again, the members would recall the corrections that we were asked to do in respect of clause 12. There are certain provisions that will be coming out, as well as that one, which would have been to repurpose the purpose for expropriation if there is a need. So what was number 2, where the property is expropriated for a new purpose in terms of section 23 and compensation has already been paid, in order to ensure that the payment of expropriation includes this repurposing and whatever may be necessary. Because that provision was not accepted by the members, that is why even that cross-reference and the addition that was made to make sure that the bill reads in sync is now going to be coming out, because the repurposing provision, which was clause 23, would be coming out. That is why there is a deletion and then effectively the correction in the numbering as well. Now, this is just to clarify that from clause 14, in respect of the compensation claims and offers of compensation and request for particulars, these are the provisions that, in light of what we presented to the members in June, these are the clauses that the members said we need to take out. So what is appearing here is to show the members what was in, and it's going to be deleted in the correct A list. And this is all in relation to all those provisions that I've spoken to. Most of it is not completely coming out, except the correction that the members had said we must take. But we have put it under clause 5, which is dealing with the investigation before the expropriation decision is taken. And then under clause 16, what we are doing in clause 16 is going to be making a correction on the redundant words that are used, as well as on the title, because the title initially was saying request for particulars and offers, because members would recall that we have been directed to remove anything about the offers and the counter offers, because there's only going to be an offer that is made by an expropriating authority once every investigation and the gathering of information has been sought. And in this provision, clause 16, it is the people that are going to be affected by the expropriation who have received the notification that will be then requesting further particulars. And this new clause 16 is then outlining the kind of further particulars that can be requested, just to guide those that will be asking. Perhaps I can quickly read what the new provision in terms of clause 16 will be reading like. And the number there, because of the 15 and 14 that is coming out, what would originally be clause 16 would have to become clause 14. And the title of clause 14 would be reading request for particulars. And what appears there is just to guide the members of the location and the creditor process when they effect the B-bill version. Number 1 of clause 15 would read as thus: the owner, mortgagee, and holder of a right may request the expropriating authority in writing to provide reasonable particulars about the offer of compensation, and particulars so requested must be furnished within 20 days of such request. So as members can see, it's clarifying who's making an offer and what stage and what request of information that is sought, and prescribing the time frame as well when such request must be attended to. by the expropriating authority once it's received. If, and in this case, we are now correcting the one that will be responding to the request for further particulars, who is the expropriating authority. If the expropriating authority fails to provide the requested particulars, the person making such a request in terms of subsection 1 may, these are now the steps that should the person not be attended to in line with subsection 1, they can take. They may on notice apply to a court for an order directing the expropriating authority to comply with subsection 1, and the court may make such an order. Subsection 3 would read as follows: an offer of just and equitable compensation remains in force until revised by the expropriating authority, b, the amount of compensation has been agreed upon, or the compensation has been decided or approved by a court. This seeks to ensure that there is compliance with Section 25 and the 3 ways in which compensation can be sought or clarified. The first one being an agreement between the parties. Failing that, the involvement of the court, who will decide, determine, or approve in respect of what was agreed or what was put forward previously by the expropriating authority. So that will be the change effected in respect of the new clause 16, that will change from being 16 to being clause 14. And that's what members would see when they get the B version of the bill, which incorporates all these proposed changes. And then under clause 17, Chairperson, the initial clause 17, it was about the payment of compensation, reading as thus: payment of amount offered as compensation. What we're doing there in respect of the title is just to make sure that it reads better and removing all the redundant words by stating it's a provision dealing with payment of compensation, and the rest, Chairperson, is to ensure the proper referencing of the clause numbers, which will then be sections once the act is enacted, because of the 3 that have previously been removed, Chairperson. And then under clause 18, again, Chairperson, it will be the correction of reference numbers of the new clauses because of the 3 that are rejected. Clause 19, we already discussed the changes that had to be effected there, but it is the clause that was related to municipal rates, and that should there be any outstanding on the expropriated property, the expropriating authority must factor in those within the compensation offer so that they are settled out of the compensation offer to deal with all the issues that members had raised previously. Clause 21, we're not making changes in terms of the previous A list as was put to the members. Clause 22, Chairperson, is a provision that was dealing in the old one. It was agent expropriation, which is going to be the new one dealt with under new clause 20. It's the one that brings about the issue of temporary use for the property should it be needed, and there are listed grounds upon which such agent expropriation will take place, as was explained. And other than just changing the clause number, there is nothing further that we are doing into that provision, Chairperson, besides what was already in the presented A list. And under clause 24, as members would see, the old one is the one where we were bringing in new clause 23, and that was dealing with repurposing. The members rejected that one outright, so we are completely taking it out. That is why it's appearing in blue there, because it will be deleted in its entirety. And this is another one which will also change the numbering because it's a clause that's going to be rejected. Here, Chairperson, Clause 24 and clause 25, because of the rejection of the 3 previous clauses and this one, which was dealing with the repurposing, it will also change the numbering, and that is what we see with these provisions. So what remains as clause 24, which was originally about service, would tend to being clause 24, and the extension of time, which is also made reference to the clauses that we have said. That is why there is a lot of cross-reference numbering that is corrected. Then the extension of time initially was clause 25, and because of the corrections and the taking into effect the directive of the members, it will now become clause 26. And what was clause 27 on the civil offenses and fines in the introduced bill will also change the numbering. And what we are correcting in terms of clause 27, it was also explained in our previous meeting, the issue about the civil penalty and the prescription of that penalty if the matter goes to court. Members would recall that there are things that if they've been requested by the expropriating authority and they are not done, that then becomes a civil offense, which require a civil punishment that must be enabled and empowered either for the minister or when the matter is taken to court. So this clause 27 initially was dealing with those civil fines, and the provisions and the cleaning up is indicating that what appears in terms of 27.2 originally, which was saying a civil court may impose a fine up to a maximum prescribed amount in favor of the national revenue on a person referred to in subsection 1 upon application by the expropriating authority brought on notice to the affected person. So what clause 2 there was doing is to enable the prescription of the civil fine or the civil penalty. So clause 27 and 28 in this regard are supposed to be reading together in making sense, and that is why the correction that will appear in clause 27 and clause 28, which will then in the new bill appear as clause 25 and clause 26, especially in relation to the making of regulations that the regulations that dictate what will be the civil fines. So again, what you find there between clause 27 and clause 28 is to address that issue of reference to making the civil penalty and the enabling power, which is appearing in both clause new 25 and new 26. So what we are correcting there in terms of the old 28D is these additions, and it will read, the minister may make regulations in respect and set any maximum civil penalty as contemplated in section 25.2, and section 25.2 is the one that I had just read for the members. Under clause 32, Chairperson, again here, it is just a grammatical correction as I wind down in terms of the drafting principles. The introduced bill has spoken to a paragraph, whereas it should have been referenced to subsection 1. This was also discussed in the previous meeting, so we are just ensuring that it's still here and it's going to be corrected on the B version. The long title as well, Chairperson, was discussed, and it now solely speaks to all the issues that were raised and the clarity as sought out of section 25, and how the councils and the state law advisor and myself had assisted the members to explain some of the issues that were there. So the long title basically gives a brief summary of what the intended act wants to do and how it will achieve what it wants to do. So Chairperson, that's basically the correction we did for the long title. And then the arrangement of section, we have also inserted it as part of the A list due to all those that were rejected. And wherever the clause appears as rejected, it means it's coming out of the introduced bill as it came with it. And therefore the bill will be reading afresh with whatever members have approved and deliberated to agree upon. Hence the arrangement of section also is now affected, and we have corrected it in this regard. And all those new numbers that are referenced into the content of the A list, it's exactly what I have indicated. In this one, Chairperson, also in respect of the memorandum on the objects of expropriation, when we were preparing, because we were also looking into everything, we have done this, but for purposes of taking the matter forward, this is just added for our purposes when we do the quality checks, that when we do the quality proofs on the bill, when we get it from CREDA, we ensure that all these changes in light of the clauses that are rejected has been taken into consideration. But in terms of the clean document that we shared with the members, this won't be there. It's just to guide us and ensure that we have covered everything, because the next stage will be the stage once the members have approved to ensure that the B bill version is correct and take into account everything that has been done of the substance and the content of the bill out of the memorandum on the objects of the expropriation bill, which is the last part of the bill that explains the process from start to end of what both houses of parliament had done on the bill. So this correction need not necessarily form part of the A list, but we just added here for us to ensure that when moving forward, we don't leave out anything. Thank you, Chairperson. That ends my presentation on the A list, which was more to just ensure that members are clear on the comparison and the correction that we had done. We may then just, I will stop my sharing, and if it's all clear, then we put up the clean copy that our committee secretary has at Chairperson. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Pume, for this detailed explanation of the A list. And we all know that as we got two reports from the committee secretary, I know that there is a process where we will also get this B version, the one that now will look as you explained to us, in which as the committee we will then have to adopt that, but not today. Honorable members, this is what we have discussed in June, May and June. We have been discussing this, and we are at this stage now. Mine would be, Ms. Pume should show us the B list, which is the cleaned version, as she has explained, why we won't see a certain clause, why we won't see a certain expressions, as she has indicated that they've removed this, they have changed this from, of course, from our deliberations and discussions that we have had previously. I don't know whether do we want to comment on this? I don't see any indication that members would like to comment on this, because, honorable members, this has been our work, but Abo Pume would advise us, and Abo Advocate Van Breda, they would advise us to where we are today. can you then show us the B list, the cleaned one? Because as the committee, we also have an obligation that after we've seen this and read it, we'll then come to the meeting in which we will then adopt that one. No comments, honorable members, on this? Okay, in the absence of hand, Ms. Pume, please continue.
Chairperson, I think I saw a hand.
Or Honorable Grammar, are you having challenges of network? Because
no, Chair.
Okay.
No, Chair. I was just a little bit slow off the mark. I just wanted to check very quickly. At this point, the next phase, when we adopt the bill, we will be voting clause by clause. Am I correct? And it is that point that we can express whether or not we support or do not support a particular clause or version of that clause.
Thank you, Chairperson. Am I audible? I can't see now. The next phase, Chairperson, would be after the adoption of the A list, is that it goes to the CREDA processing, which is the company that will help us incorporate all these changes into the B version. As members would see here, the A list is written Portfolio Committee proposed amendments to Expropriation Bill B23 of 2020. The next stage, once this is incorporated, it will be the Bill B23B of 2020, because this, as members can see here, it's B23A. It becomes the A list, which incorporates the changes that the members want. So on the next meeting planned for the committee, that is where the members will be having the B bill version, which incorporates all these changes. And when we read it clause by clause, as previously was done in terms of this bill, when members, before they deliberated, the same thing will be done into the new corrected provisions, and therefore every member will be having a chance to comment on that provision and indicate the position, because that will be the next stage when that B version bill is before the members, and members are then adopting clause by clause, having been satisfied with what appears there or rejecting what they would be not satisfied with. So the clause by clause version of the B version is the stage that is going to follow next. And once adopted by the committee, it then goes with its report for preparation to go back to the House, if the House will approve the changes and everything that will be done in the bill by the members of this committee, Chairperson. I'm trusting that answers the question.
Thank you, Ms. Pume, in explaining to Honorable Grammar that information. Honorable Matebula.
Thank you very much. I'm struggling. I'm using another category. I wanted to raise my hand earlier on until I discovered how to raise my hand. My apologies for taking you a bit back, Chairperson. I just want to check one thing with Ms. Pume in relation to clause 16, where you indicated that clause 16 allows the expropriated person or institution or whoever to ask for reasonable particulars or further particulars. And in an event that such particulars are not provided, and that person may have a recourse to go to court. Now, we've been talking about the issue of trying to go the less expensive way of having a recourse, which is to go to court. That is why somehow we spoke about the issue of mediation. Now, here, I see that you speak of the person to go straight to court. Any other recourse that is available or that can be inputted in this particular section, if any, so as to try and assist people not to go to court. As we know, going to court is an expensive exercise, and you've got to go to court or to high court or any court of the same status as the court. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Matebula. Ms. Pume.
Thank you so much, Chairperson. Thank you, Honorable Member, for that question. In respect of what will be our new clause 15 request for particulars in relation to the compensation.
Sorry, Chair, if it's Advocate Van Breda speaking, if I can just assist my colleague, the clause 16 will be the new clause 14 in the B-bill because of the deletion of clauses 14 and 15. So 16 will then become 14 in the B-bill. Sorry, Chair.
And to add, Chairperson, there, what appears in respect of clause, what was originally the clause relating to mediation and courts, Chairperson, in the introduced bill, it was clause 21. It will become clause 22. It will become clause 19. Reference is made in terms of reading the bill in its entirety, that the going to court is the last port of call and last option after the parties have not found each other in respect of mediation, which is the lesser, cheaper option in order to engage the parties. And therefore, the clause 19, which is part of the bill and was initially there also in respect of the introduced bill, is the clause that will align the request for further particulars in clause 14 and taking the matter to court in respect of clause 19. So there's both provision for mediation and provision for taking the matter to court, Chairperson. And clause, like I said, if I may just quickly go down, I think clause 19, the one that's there, it does make reference to using clause 19 and ensuring that we don't leave out the right of people to either use mediation or use the courts. So that's what basically clause 14 and clause 19 will be doing for purposes of using the available justice system to address this matter. Chairperson, I thank you.
Thank you, Advocate Van Breda. Thank you, Ms. Pume, for this. Honorable members, as you have heard clearly, as much as we have this a list incorporating all our recommendations, we still have to have the B list that we will again deliberate on it clause by clause. And as she has clearly indicated, Honorable Graham Murray, we won't be voting today. We will be voting when we are dealing with the bill list. With that, honorable members, I want to check that do we really want Ms. Pume and Advocate Van Breda to read what they have just presented to us, but now in this format, or we accept this and then allow them to then leave the meeting in appreciation of what they have delivered so far, waiting for that bill list then in which we'll deliberate clause by clause, but we will get this a document so that we will read it as different political parties, as different members of the portfolio committee, also ensure that we check with our legal people whether is this really what we want. Honorable members, Honorable Van Schalkwyk.
Thank you very much, Chairperson, and good morning to the honorable members, Chairperson, and the legal advisors. Chairperson, I would then formally propose that the current A list, the second part, not be presented, and we wait for the B list, as it has been clarified, Chairperson, during the previous presentation, the omissions and additions and everything that we need to do. So I would therefore propose that we don't present this last form, but give opportunity to the different parties to go and engage with their caucuses on what has been presented. We have this presentations in our email, so we would be in a position to deal with it effectively. Thank you very much, Chairperson.
Thank you, Honorable Van Schalkwyk. Honorable Graham-Murray.
Thanks very much, Chair. I just wanted to check the document that Phumelele just presented to us. I've looked at the two that I got. They don't seem to have the same markup or comments as the one she presented in terms of the deletions of clauses, etc. So I'm just wondering if we have that version. And I would appreciate that if we don't have that, if that could be sent out to us along with the new version that is sort of compiled and amended. And then on that basis, I'd like to support Honourable Van Schalkwyk and say that we vote on this next week once we've had a chance to review it. But please, if we could get the document that was used today in the presentation, I would really appreciate it. Thanks very much, Chair.
Thank you, Honourable Graham-Murray. Not sure, but the document that Ms. Pume was presenting, I do have it on the document that was sent to me by Ms. Martinez, but I think we will then ask Ms. Pume to again give it to Stabi, and then Stabi will send it to all of us again and the new document. Ms. Pume, Advocate Van Breda, and all your teams, that is the Parliamentary Legal Services and the Office of the Chief State Law, we really appreciate all the work that you have done to be where we are with this bill. We all know how crucial it is, and the people of South Africa are waiting for this bill that will ensure that the state, through that particular department that will be expropriating property for public interest and public purpose, will finally see its light in Parliament. We really appreciate all that you have done, supporting us from the raw documents that we came with, from the public hearings, from the oral presentation, from the written submissions that we all received, and you were there correcting us when we would, through our discussions, would be sometimes venturing into a space that you would advise us, though this is not the right one. We really appreciate that. We're looking forward to, again, meeting with you next week, in which then we will be dealing with the bill list and deliberating on that one. You may then...
Chairperson?
Yes, Miss Honourable Van Schalkwyk.
Thank you for that one, Chairperson. Chair, I just need some clarity. I've seen on the chat box that Mr. Moase indicated that the presenter kept on saying repurposing instead of repurchasing. Can we just get a clarification there before they leave us? Thank you, Chair.
Okay. Sorry, I didn't check the chat box. Ms. Pume, repurposing or repurchasing? Is Ms. Pume still in the meeting?
On it, Chairperson, I'm still here. I was trying to find the clause in the presented A list, Chairperson. I think members, just to quickly answer that one, Chairperson, the member is correct. It is repurchasing of property, but the repurchasing occurs because the repurposing has occurred, where the expropriating authority, it would have felt that there is now no more the need and the purpose of what the purchase or what the expropriation in the first place would have been for. Hence my apologies for interchangeably using that. But the clause was initially, as was presented previously, it was going to be entitled repurchase of property, which was a provision to enable the original owner from whom it was expropriated to get the first preference if they wanted to repurchase the property and have it back. But the member is correct, Chairperson, it is repurchasing of property instead of repurposing. But the two were working together when you read the content and the context of the provision. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Pume. Thank you, Mr. Mohasa, for noting that, hoping that in the bill list you would have then corrected and put in the correct expression on that one. Ms. Mendy, can you then flight on our screens the minutes?
Yes, Chair.
According to our agenda, we're supposed to deal with the minutes of the previous meetings.
Yes, Chair. There's 5 sets of minutes, Chair.
Yes, start with the first one.
Yes, we'll start with the 11th of May one. Chair, I've flighted the minutes.
Thank you, Mendy. Honorable members, the minutes of the 11th of May are there. That is, we have received them earlier on, and I believe that we managed to read them, and if there are any corrections, can we then comment on them? Mr. Mohasa, are you, or you raised this hand now, yes, or previously?
No, it's now, Honorable Chairperson. Are we excused from the department? Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
No, yeah, we also excuse new party. You can remain and just be part of the meeting, but you are excused.
Okay, thank you very much.
Honorable Van Schalkwyk.
Thank you,
Honorable
Chair.
Van Schalkwyk. Yes.
Thank you, Chair. I would like to move for adoption of the minutes of the 11th of May. Thank you very much.
Okay. Honorable Van Schalkwyk moves that we adopt these minutes as they are a true reflection of the meeting of 11th of May. May I get a second, please?
I will second, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Hicklin. We then go to the minutes of the next meeting.
The minutes of the
18th of May, honorable members. May, honorable members, are they the true reflection of what we discussed and deliberated when we're dealing with the boards of the councils, our entities, CBE, CIDB, and IDT. Honorable Graham Murray.
Sorry, Chair, just a correction of grammar. I see that Honourable Siwisa had said that she would be leaving the meeting early under apologies, and it's been captured as she would retreat the meeting early. Retreat is not the correct usage. So if we could maybe just take leave, maybe just leave the meeting early, if that's okay. If we could just amend that, I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Graham Murray. Ms. Mendy, can you correct that? Then may I then get a seconder, Honorable Van Schalkwyk?
I second with that amendment, Chairperson. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Van Schalkwyk. And then can we go to the meeting of the 25th of May? Okay, I don't see them on the screen, but I do have them on my document. Okay, here they are. Now, members, are these minutes the true reflection of what we discussed on our meeting of the 25th of May? Honorable
Yes.
Jobo?
Morning, Chairperson. I support the
Thank you, Honorable Jobo. Moves that we adopt the minutes as they are a true reflection of what we discussed in that meeting. May I then get a seconder? May I get a seconder, honorable members?
I'll second, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Hicklin. Then we move for the minutes of the 1st of June. Honorable Hicklin, are these minutes a true reflection of what we discussed?
Chair, if memory serves me correctly, I think I was not present at that meeting. I think I was away. That is the only thing that's concerning me. I checked my diary and I think I was away on business for the party. So I think I need to be put in as an apology, Chair, please.
Can you please correct that, Ms. Mendy? That
we will.
Okay. Honorable Hicklin was had submitted an apology for that particular meeting. And Honorable Zondo. Then can we get a member who moves for the adoption of these minutes?
I move, Chairperson.
Thank you, Honorable Jobo. Moves for the adoption of these minutes as they are a true reflection of what we discussed. Can we then get a seconder? please. Honorable members. Can we get a seconder, please, honorable members?
I second, Chair. I'm sorry, something is wrong with my network.
Thank you, Honorable Shabalala. Honorable Shabalala seconds the motion raised by Honorable Jobo. I think that this will be the last set of minutes. 8 June. Can we then get a mover for the adoption of these minutes?
Shabalala here. Can I move, Chair?
Thank you, Honorable Shabalala. Honorable Jobo.
Second.
Thank you, Honorable Jobo. Second, these sets of minutes. Do we have any, or are we through, Miss Mendy? Miss Mendy.
Thank you, Chair. That was the last set of minutes.
Okay, can we then get and adopt this program, which we agreed upon as the members formally adopt this program?
Can I propose the adoption, Chair?
Yes, thank you. We had to amend our third term program, honorable members, because of the programming committee of the Parliament. So it is as what it is in our documents. It was presented to us even before we reopened. It was presented to us in our group, but now we have to formally adopt it. Thank you, Honorable Shabalala. Can we get a seconder in adopting our third term program?
Second.
Okay, thank you, Honorable Jabo. Thank you, Honorable Fascalfe, for seconding that motion. Honorable members, on that note, having adopted the minutes of the previous meetings and the program as it relates to what is going to happen in the next few days. Tomorrow, honorable members, we are having another meeting starting at 9, that will end at 12, in which the department will be briefing us. And again, on Thursday, we will have another meeting at 1. Also, it will be the department that will be briefing us. And then on the 30th, which is next week, Tuesday, we will then be getting our bill list of the expropriation bill. So we have a tight program, honorable members, that we need to adhere to so that we ensure that we do all that we are supposed to do as the portfolio committee in this term. As much as the time is very limited, that's why we have to have meetings on Tuesdays, Wednesday, and because this week it's a committee week, we will also have a meeting on Thursday. I know this is going to be tight to other members that are not only participating in this portfolio committee only, they are also participating in other portfolio committees. We apologize for that. We have to discuss these issues. Thank you, honorable members, for your deliberations in this meeting and for your participation, which is always positive and constructive. The meeting is adjourned. See you tomorrow at 9 again.
Thank you, Chair.
Thanks.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Thank you, members.
Recording